Do Denver and affordable belong in the same sentence now? Well, let's see where the market is leading us. Hey everyone, it is Alyson, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. It is time for your September market updates. We had 4,400 new listings this month. That is down 600 from the month before. That put us down about 12% month over month and down about 8% year over year. We saw 3,600 homes go under contract. That is up 200 homes from the month before. So we're not following that consistent downward trajectory we usually see. That put us up about 7% month over month and up about 9% year over year. Closings were down 200 to 3,300 this month. That puts us down about 5.5% month over month and down 5% year over year. Even with more people going under contract this last month, inventory is still up. It's 3.7 months of inventory. We were around 3.5 months of inventory last month. So we still see more homes entering the market than the buyers are interested in consuming by putting them under contract. And days on market is increasing just as we generally expect in the fall. We increased by 7 on the average. We increased by 6 on the median. All right, let's look at those September home prices. The average close price for all homes, $703,000 this month, up $12,000 from the month before. That puts us up about 2% month over month, but leaves us unchanged year over year. The single family home price average is rolling in at $788,000. It's also up about $10,000 month over month, putting our month over month change a little over 1%, but unchanged year over year. And the condos and townhomes are coming in with an average of $466,000, an increase of $11,000 month over month, up 2.5% month over month, but unchanged again year over year. Over to those median home prices. The median price for all homes sold is $590,000, up just a tiny bit at $2,500 month over month, which puts our increase at 0.5% barely year over year and month over month. The median single family home price is coming in at $650,000. That is unchanged month over month, unchanged year over year. Condos and townhomes are coming in at $400,000 for their median price this month. That is down $5,000. That puts it down roughly 1% from the previous month and down 2.5% from the previous year. Even with the increase in pending activity that we saw this month, the list price to sales price ratio still decreased. We went down from 96.0 to 95.3. So what does all this mean to you and what are we seeing in the market? Well, August saw a decrease in interest rates and that did cause that uptick in pending activity. Anybody who has had an approval sitting out there with a lender has been on the sidelines or has been looking but not highly motivated. When their lender calls and says, guys, the rate's moving down, can you lock something in this weekend? People are highly motivated to go back to a house they saw and liked, to look at everything fresh on the market and get things under contract. And that is what happened. We saw a push because we saw a downward trend in the month of August that started rapidly and continued moving down throughout the month in the rate. In addition, we saw the average price point move up, which means some buyers might have just used that change to leverage a little more buying power. The median stayed the same. We aren't seeing more and more buyers move up to a higher price point and home prices increase. We just saw a couple more homes on that higher end sell, pulling the average up, while the median stayed the same. We're seeing an unchanged month over month and really unchanged year over year for the most part. So there's just not enough change both in the job market and on the rate side to see a huge shift in where the median is right now. So a $650,000 house with just 10% down, which means there'll be PMI. So accounting for the PMI, the HOA dues, your taxes, your insurance, all of that. Then, because of the environment we're in where there is so much ability to negotiate with the sellers, we're going to layer on a 2-1 buy down. And even if the seller doesn't want to give it to you, there are lenders who will give you a free 2-1 buy down. So they're still out there and available. Right? So we're taking, let's say that you qualified for a 6% mortgage rate. I am seeing them. I am seeing clients get them below 6 right now. So let's just say you're at 6, a 2-1 buy down gives you an interest rate of 4% your first year. We're talking about a monthly payment that is running about $3,700 for a home. That is not bad to be in something that is building equity, that is giving you space. It gives you room for the dogs to roam. It might put you in a school district you want the kids in. It might give you all the garage space you've been wanting for toys, cars, kayaks. Who knows? So this is a time and space that I love to see my buyers get in and negotiate. I have a neighborhood where I have two clients that live next door to each other. They bought a year change apart. One built, one bought a resale. The resale client purchased for well over 6 figures less than the one who built. Similar views, similar structure of house, all the same amenities. This is the time to be someone who purchases homes that are existing. I cannot stress it enough. My clients who built were trying so hard to appeal with the tax assessor, asking me for help working through it, but just the way the timing aligns on those, all of these current sales are going to fall into a different assessment season. But it's hard for folks who own right now to see what's happening around them. Sellers, I see that. I feel you. If you purchased recently, it is a hard time to sell. In that neighborhood where I have the clients who built, the clients who bought resale, the builders are still building. They are not slashing their prices. They're just controlling inventory and controlling incentives. And so they're building spec. They're not releasing as much dirt. They're not offering as much opportunity for clients to customize because it controls the builder's profit margin. And then they are offering large incentives that pull down the rate when needed. And a lot of the buyers in this area are cash, and so they will just negotiate right off the top. But they are controlling it so that the prices for what the builder is creating are actually on par and higher than what my client who built are paying. So for my client who wants to debate the assessor's valuation, he probably won't get to because there's going to be so many sales that the builder has controlled over here too. So sidebar on that, but the point being, the resale piece is so favoring the buyer right now. And the builders with their incentives, I am seeing builders offering rates in the low and mid 4s, on the high end low 5s. And these are locked in 30-year conventional mortgages, meaning you have such long runway before you would ever need to refinance. It's going to be a long time before we get below that rate and you're putting money and effort and time into refinancing that. And that saves so much money on the monthly budget. I just calculated for another client who, again, purchased a house in 2022, has a reason why they may want to sell that property, and they're competing against a builder, and the builder is offering fixed rates that are incredibly low. And the difference, the delta, would be as if my client priced their home $100,000 less than it's worth on the market to match what the builder is offering for someone to buy one of their homes. That cannot even be done. So buyers, there's so much out there opportunity-wise for you to capture, captivate, leverage to your advantage. Now, my sellers, if they go to market, could do a 2-1 buy down, and that would match what the builder's doing on a consistent 30-year basis and buy some time for a potential buyer to then refinance. I have another buyer right now buying in one of the preferred suburbs in South Denver. They don't need a buy down. They are getting a house with a finished basement, a nice yard, mature area, the one little spot they wanted to be in. I mean, they had a very tight little map. This house was already listed at an incredibly low price per square foot, low price. Nothing noticeably wrong with it. And it's not like, you went in and it was an investor special, smelled like 3 different things you didn't want, falling apart, shutters hanging sideways. It was not a haunted house type house. It is a functional, lived in, people raising a family in it house. And my clients were able to negotiate further. We pushed really hard. We have other terms and conditions layered into this contract. And the sellers accepted. They need to move. That is the scenario we're in right now. Okay, I got on my soapbox. I told stories. I have shared more than I intended to share when I jumped into the takeaways here. But if you're not hearing the excitement bells and whistles from me, I want you to see the data from Zillow that shows how much more affordable Denver is this year than it was this time last year. Denver has had a greater than 55% increase in affordable homes for sale in our inventory in just a year. And if we looked back further, if we compared it to late 2022, if we went to 2023, that number would be larger. just based on the stories that I'm telling you. People that purchased in 2022 and are trying to sell now and aren't netting anything, are having to bring money to the table, are renting because they aren't making the number they want to make. And so this data from Zillow is just from a year ago, and we're seeing this increase. Compared to over the arc of several years, Denver is showing a huge increase in affordability. And we're not alone. This is true across the country, pretty much everywhere but the Northeast. Buyers leverage it when and if you can, even if you're not buying here. If you're watching my videos because you are looking at 3 different cities, you're entertaining job offers in multiple tech locations, wherever you're going to land, buy as soon as you can once you know you're going to love it, and stay there, a good 3+ years. Fannie Mae, the Mortgage Bankers Association, the National Home Builders Association are all saying that we are on a slow decline with our interest rates through to fall this time next year in 2026. At that point, they're thinking we might see some numbers below 6, right? Starting with a 5. That psychological trigger point is what people assume, where we're going to really see the buyers push back into the market. Because even then, buying down a 1/4 point, you're at 5.75. Maybe you can layer on a 1-year buy down, so you're at 4.75 for a year. There's a lot more runway, a lot more buying power in that. And so at that point, the anticipation is the market will open up. We've anticipated a whole lot of things since COVID, and not all of them have come true. But if we do continue on that arc, then we have a lot of space ahead of us still for a market very similar to this. What we do know that may change between now and then, or right as the market is kind of seeing that shift, is that builders are preparing for this. In the Denver market, builders are already contracting on the number of permits they're releasing. And even though we have a lot of fresh building coming in South Denver with so many new construction communities, dirt moving, Tantera, Kime Ranch, Looking Glass, Dawson's down in Castle Rock, even though they have to permit to push all that forward, the rate at which they're pushing that, even existing communities like Lyric, Shea, and the Canyons, they're dialing that down because the buyer demand is slow. And if they do too much and it sits there, it diminishes the value of what is there and available, and they have to increase incentives, which cuts into the profit margins they give back to the stakeholders and that they're leveraging. And so we already see the proof in the pudding that they are down on permits for the first 6 months of this year versus last year. And if they continue that, we're going to see some contraction as they aim to get to that sweet point where they don't have to put out so much money. They're putting out $65,000 on larger houses, sometimes more when you factor in the price cut on top of that to get this inventory moved. And we haven't seen that in a really long time here. Sellers, I'm not thinking about you as I talk to the buyers. It's just that strategically, the buyers have the upper hand in most situations. Only when you as a seller are willing to either put the most amazing product that has been on the market in a month and price it aggressively, do you end up with the upper hand in multiple offers. And I have seen so few sellers willing to do that, that the buyers are really the ones who have been owning this situation. So sellers and buyers, if you want to get strategic about how you dominate your side of the conversation, please reach out. I love to connect and talk about how we help you take your next step. And I will see y'all next week.